Also, the book notes that most are good agents, responsive to elected officials and the policy missions of their superiors. Maybe this is Mr. Brightside speaking, but I tend to think most people tend to want to be supportive of their office's mission and want to be well thought of and well liked. There are all sorts of psychological reasons we want to get along, but most people in the bureaucracy ultimately act as good agents doing what their principals want them to do because that's what you do in a job. One other thing to note is that as partisans of their agencies and missions, bureaucrats by necessity are politicians. They operate in a world of competition for scarce resources, often intense conflicts among interests and values, and multiple principles, and there's a significant political component to getting access to these resources. Bureaucrats frequently have to work with outside agencies and the media, mobilize supporters, gather allies, negotiate mutually beneficial deals with other politicians, and do whatever else they need to do as a way of getting support. Their funding depends on Congress and the President, who depend on public opinion and use that to decide what should get funded. So it's important for bureaucrats to do what they can to mobilize this support themselves. In this way, it creates a pseudo-democratic accountability for bureaucrats, even though they're never elected. Along these lines, I did want to mention that even though bureaucrats serve in the executive branch under the President, their most important political relationship is with Congress. Politically astute bureaucrats carefully cultivate members of Congress and their staffs, because survival and success also depend on having an appreciative relationship and supportive coalition in Congress. Congress manages the money, controls the power of the purse, therefore bureaucrats need them to be favorable to their issues. Also, savvy bureaucrats design and manage their programs in a way that enhance political support in Congress and target benefits to key members. In this way, they play on the desire for pork barrel spending and focus on re-election. The next couple of slides are going to focus on ways Congress controls the bureaucracy. We know that the bureaucracy is part of the executive branch, but there's really a number of ways Congress can exert control as well. The biggest is that most of the authority of the bureaucracy comes from statutory authority given to it by Congress, and that Congress can take it away through the same legislative methods. This is harder said than done. Taking things away from a group once they're given is much more difficult than never extending those benefits in the first place. But theoretically, this is a significant check on the bureaucracy's power. The second one I already spoke about. The power of the purse and the ability to give the different bureaus money or to take away money lets them either do their work or hinders their effort. This is also an incredibly significant check and one that should be reiterated. Moving on, the book has a whole number of other ways Congress can check the bureaucracy. I don't want to go to all these in depth, you can read about them in the book, but here's the list. They can have hearings and investigations where agencies and agency heads testify in front of Congress on TV. Mandatory reports on programs provided to Congress, legislative vetoes on agency policy proposals, committee and conference reports that provide instructions to agencies, inspectors general who audit the books and investigate the activities of agencies for Congress, the General Accounting Office, or the GAO, which audits programs and agencies and reports their performance to Congress, can also put a timeline on delegations of authority. As you can see, while the bureaucracy never actually has to officially face the voters, it is checked by any number of different sources, and the people exert at least strong indirect control over what their government officials are doing.